Let me guess, you're currently following a push-pull legs program trying to get super strong and your results haven't been great. You're probably stuck around a 3 plate squat, a 2 to a 2.5 plate bench press, and a 3 to a 4 plate deadlift. That's because push-pull legs is not a strength program. The influencers have lied to you. A few years ago, I used to be in exactly the same position you're in right now. I was following programs like upper lower, push pull legs, trying to get super strong, and the results didn't really come. I listened to all these fitness YouTubers who told me these were the kind of programs I needed to follow, and they were getting super strong using them, but it didn't really happen for me. The weight on the bar didn't really go up. I kept failing reps or grinding out really slow sets to failure, and I felt like if I put an extra 2.5 kilos on the bar, soon I'd start failing reps. The problem is, most of these fitness YouTubers you're watching are genetic freaks who are going to get stronger on any training program they follow. For more average guys like me and you watching this video, we need a bit more of an intelligent approach to getting jacked and strong. And in this video, I'm going to share with you a better way to approach your strength training so that you can get stronger in half the time it took me and learn from my mistakes. So, my current approach to training and programming has allowed me to get bigger and stronger than I ever thought possible. I've been able to squat 247.5 kilos, bench press 160 kilos, and deadlift 300 kilos. I've also been able to help hundreds of clients do the same. What is this special new approach? It's just simply full body programming. And in this video, I'm going to give you the top 3 reasons why this approach is better than your current push-pull legs program. So if you'd like to see some examples of how to set up your own full body program, click the top link in the description and you'll see 3, 4, and 5 day options. Let's get straight into it. So reason number 1 why I prefer full body training versus push-pull legs for strength is that it allows you to train the squat, the bench, the deadlift more frequently. Now, to get super strong at the squat, bench, and deadlift, you need to master the technique on them. They are skills and you need to master that skill. You need to be very efficient at the squat, the bench, the deadlift. There's no coincidence that all of the strongest lifters you look up to, they make it look effortless. When you watch them squat, bench press, and deadlift, it looks so easy, so clean. And you're probably making some like very basic technique errors on your lifts. Like on your squat, you probably don't have the correct stance, you're probably not hitting depth consistently, you're not getting that nice rebound out at the bottom. On your bench press, you're probably not pausing properly, you probably don't even know that the correct bar path is to press back and then up and not straight up and down. And on the deadlift, you're probably yanking the bar off the floor and not taking the slack out of the bar, hitching and ramping. And those errors wouldn't be a thing if you were able to practice the lifts more frequently and get super good at them. Because on push-pull legs, you're pretty much limited to like once or twice a week on the main lifts. And I've coached hundreds of people, and in general, I've seen that most people do best squatting 2 or 3 times a week, benching 3 or 4 times a week, yes, that high, and you can watch a full bench press frequency video here, and deadlifting once or twice a week. On push-pull legs, you can pretty much only squat like maybe twice a week if you set it up really well. Deadlift, again, maybe twice a week. And then bench press is really hard to do more than twice a week. And that's why at the moment your lifts don't feel really practiced and really like high skill. And if you're anything like me, probably like 1 week, the lifts feel really good. They feel really smooth. Then another week, like it feels like you forgot how to do the lifts and you just regress and things feel super heavy. And that's because you don't have consistent technique practice. Now, for most people, I recommend that you squat 2 to 3 times a week. If you're like me and you're naturally not a very good squatter, you've got really long legs and stuff like that, you might want to squat 3 times a week. If not, the majority of people do well on squatting twice a week. And the way I usually set that up is we have a heavy primary squat day and then a secondary squat day, which is just the regular squat again, or a close variation to target a weak point, like a pause squat, a tempo squat, a pin squat, or something like that. If you decide to go 3 times a week, we might add in like a light high bar squat or a front squat, just to get some extra squat practice, okay? For the bench press, 3 or 4 times a week, usually that includes like a heavy primary bench press, a secondary which is very similar but maybe slightly different volumes and intensities, and then the third and the fourth slot are likely going to be something a little bit lighter so that we can get some volume in, we can kind of bridge the gap between exposures and get some more practice and target some weak points and stuff like that. So we might do some incline benching, some Larsen press, some varied grip benching, something like that, right? Then for the deadlift, usually if we're doing twice per week, I'll start you off with a primary deadlift and then maybe something like a Romanian deadlift or a stiff leg deadlift. Then once we get a bit more accustomed to 2 times a week pulling from the floor, I might give you something a little bit heavier like a pause deadlift, deficit deadlift, or something like that. And that's the frequencies that I've seen the best results with. And this allows you to then develop consistent technique, really master the skill of the lifts, and then you'll be able to get super strong long term because you're really good at the movements. Now, reason number 2 why I prefer full body training to push pull legs is because it allows for much greater individualization. If you've watched any of my videos before, you will know that I've spoke about how differently people respond to the same training program. So let's say we take 100 guys and we put them all on push pull legs. Probably 5 or 10 of those guys, their lifts are going to blow up. They're going to get super strong, super jacked. And that's probably these fitness YouTubers you're watching. The genetic outliers, the freaks who can just get super strong and super big on anything they do. Then probably like 50, 60 people are just going to fall somewhere in the middle. The average guys, that's probably myself, you watching this video. You get a little bit stronger, a little bit bigger, but not like amazing results. And then probably the final like 10, 20 people or so, they're going to see terrible results. They might even regress and not get any bigger or stronger. And again, that might be some of you watching this video and you're thinking like, do I just have terrible genetics? And the answer is no, you're just not following an individualized program. You need to follow something that puts you more towards the other side of that spectrum where you respond really, really well. Now, a good example to kind of illustrate this is on my current coaching roster, because I work with about 30 lifters at one time. If you took 2 of their training programs, they look very, very different despite them having very similar goals. I've got some guys benching twice a week, some benching 5 times a week, some squatting once, some squatting 3 times, but they're all seeing progress, and it's because people respond so differently to training. Push-pull legs crams you into this fixed model of like, you've got a push day, a pull day, a leg day, and you're very limited in how much you can customize that. When you have a full body split, you can train 3 days a week, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days. I even had a guy on 7 days. You can allocate the volume very differently between people as well as the intensity and the frequencies. You can make far larger adjustments block to block when you periodize things, and it just really allows you to customize and leverage people's individual differences rather than me just cramming you into a split that doesn't really fit your needs, and then you get 6 months down the line and you're like, why didn't I really get bigger or stronger? I listened to what this influencer said and I trained really hard, but I just didn't see many results. And this is why you need something that's individualized and suits your needs. The problem isn't you, it's the program. Now, reason number 3 why I prefer full body training to push pull legs is because it encourages you to train movements and not muscles. Push pull legs ultimately is a bodybuilding program. It trains muscle groups like the push muscles, the pull muscles, the leg muscles. Strength programs train movements. We want to train the squat, the bench press, the deadlift. So on a full body setup, you might have a primary squat day, you might have a primary deadlift day, a secondary squat day, secondary deadlift day, and the day is centered around that lift. So for example, if you had like a primary squat day, you might do your heaviest squat of the week, then we might have a bench press, then we might have some squat supplemental work. It's not going to be just a leg day where we try to like hammer the quads or something, because that's not the main goal. If you've got like goals more of strength or kind of more in the middle of this spectrum, like you're in the middle of strength and hypertrophy, full body allows you to actually leverage that and to get really strong because you're prioritizing more of your training energy towards the movements rather than the muscles. Push-pull legs is okay for bodybuilding, and I've had some clients run it in the past and I've used it myself. But again, it's focused on muscles, not movements. So you're going in and you're trying to like hammer your legs on a leg day, whereas that's probably not the most productive training stress for getting strong at the squat, for example. Push-pull legs has you kind of disperse your training stress over loads of different things and loads of different movements. You might be doing like 10, 15, 20 different exercises in your program, and that means the training stress is really spread out. You might get okay results on those 10, 20 lifts you're doing, but not great results. Whereas if you're doing a full body program, we're directing that stress towards less lifts, like the squat, the bench, the deadlift. You might only be doing 3 or 4 different exercises per week for those different movement patterns. Because of that, the training stress is more concentrated into one place, and then you really excel at those small amount of things you're doing and you see much better results. It's kind of that saying like, good at, I don't remember the phrase, but it's like, average at everything, master of none, or something like that. But you get the point, right? Like you're too spread out, and a lot of clients come to me and they're like doing 7, 8, 9, 10 different movements per session. And I end up stripping a lot of those out, cutting it right down to like 4 or 5 movements per day. And then they start to actually get really good results at the small amount of things we're focusing on, because we can do higher quality volume more frequently and actually focus in on what matters to us. So those are the top 3 reasons why I would prefer a full body program over push-pull legs if the goal is strength. If you want to focus on bodybuilding, sure, push-pull legs might be appropriate for you if you want to be doing training focused on muscle groups with a lot of variation, loads of different exercises. But if you want to get super strong, we need to train the main lifts frequently. We need to be doing them multiple times a week, high quality volumes with a lot of room for customization and individualization. We need to have a focus on training movements, not muscles. And we need to be concentrating that training stress down onto a few things that we care about, rather than being a jack of all trades and a master of none. I finally just remembered that phrase. So yeah, that is why I would recommend that you do full body training. If you want to see examples, top link in the description. There's a 3-day, 4-day, and 5-day options. If not, I also do have a full video here where I share a full example of a full body training program that you can literally steal, go and get stronger. And yeah, I really hope this video helped you out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.